So today is the day we're finally discussing The Flash, with how tumultuous the production history for The Flash was and the rocky history of the DCEU these past 2 years. It still is kind of surreal that we finally made it to The Flash being in theaters as a film that we can all discuss on the internet. To put into perspective how long we've been waiting for this Flash film to come to fruition, it was announced back in 2014, right around the same time the Flash CW show started airing, and that just ended finally. The series finale was literally a couple weeks ago, and that ran for 9 seasons. But here we are. We've had a lot of praise about the film leading into it, and that's why it wasn't ever shelved like Batgirl, because everybody under the sun you can think of has been praising this film as one of the best comic book experiences of all time, which is extremely high praise. As we know, the superhero genre is still pretty booming these days, but I had to find out for myself if it does live up to that immense hype. Flash follows Barry Allen using his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Despite all of those lofty expectations, I can't deny the fact that I had a big smile on my face pretty much the entire time watching The Flash. It is everything that you want from a superhero film. Heart, action, humor. As an avid comic book reader, this felt like one of those big comic book crossovers brought to life on the big screen, coupled with it just having that classic fun summer blockbuster feel to it that's missing with a lot of modern films these days. All the action set pieces inside The Flash are absolutely fantastic. They can only be described as epic from scope, scale, and creativity. A huge credit has to go to Andy Muschietti's direction. He's a director that I've always loved, and I think he does a fantastic job with superhero films. Just in how he crafts these type of scenes, showcasing Barry's abilities in so many inventive sequences. Adding on top of that the fact you have multiple Flashes, Michael Keaton's Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, Supergirl, Zod. When you have that amount of superhero characters inside of one film, it isn't hard to craft wow moment after wow moment, but The Flash finds a way to continuously blow your mind away with various different sequences of action. It is literally just mind-blowing moment after mind-blowing moment, all the way from start to finish. It starts off very exciting and continues to ramp up in that excitement all the way to the third act. A big part of what I think sets apart The Flash from other superhero films right now is the story overall is extremely compelling. Even outside of the superhero action and the nostalgia, this very much has a coming-of-age style story with Barry that has very emotional stakes to it. And those emotional stakes do hit hard, witnessing Barry forced to confront the scars from his past, losing his mom, and trying to heal from that to have a better future. It's emotional, but by the end of the film, it does give you that feeling of hope, which is something that you want in a story like this. Barry Allen as a character, when it comes to DC characters, Batman always has been my favorite, but if I had to pick a second place, it always was Barry Allen, and I think when it comes to this type of story, it encompasses everything that I love about Barry Allen as a character. Seeing as we haven't spent a whole lot of time with Barry Allen in the DCU so far, whether it's BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League, or his random cameos and stuff like Peacemaker or Suicide Squad, I do think he is a much better character in his own film. Not only is Ezra Miller fantastic when it comes to delivering this emotional material, they are very zany and quirky, and I have a lot of fun seeing both of these Barry Allens interact with one another, coupled with their interactions with Michael Keaton's Batman. I actually was quite surprised at how funny this film was. It's probably the most funny DCEU film of them all, just because I think a lot of the jokes here do land because of Ezra Miller's character, but there's also some pretty great jokes along the way with Michael Keaton as well. You know, Michael Keaton might be getting up there in age. Ironically, that is a storyline that he grapples with over the course of The Flash, but I gotta admit, the man still has it as Batman after all these years. Even though he's 71, he is still kicking a lot of ass in that costume. Once he dons the cowl, it is pure nostalgia. It really is the perfect kind of nostalgia for a film like this, getting to see Michael Keaton kick ass as Batman after all of these decades away from the character, but he does also just perfectly complement the story. It doesn't feel like it's just shoehorned in. As we all know, he's not the only Batman in The Flash. We have Ben Affleck once again here, and more than likely his final outing. Doesn't have as huge of a part as someone like Michael Keaton inside of the story, but I do love the moments he does have in this. It very much feels like the final hurrah for the character, and I mean, it probably is going to be the final hurrah. Let's be real here with the way they're kind of blowing up the DCEU with James Gunn stepping in. But I felt satisfied by the end because this is kind of a film that bridges the gap between the DCEU and this new era of DC that's beginning with James Gunn. As far as new additions to the cast from this film, I think my biggest standout is Sasha Calle's Supergirl. I loved what she brought to this film. I would actually love if they brought her over to the DCEU for the Supergirl film. We'll see how that goes. But just in terms of her portrayal in this film in particular, she very easily won me over as the character. I loved her fresh spin on the character. I quite liked her backstory. She's awesome, and I love the badass action sequences she's involved in this film. Seeing as this is a big multiversal story for DC, there is a lot of big surprises here, cameos, Easter eggs. Some of that stuff, unfortunately, has been spoiled already, whether it be by the director himself or just news outlets just revealing spoilers. I think Variety was the one that had spoilers in their review, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, there are some amazing stuff in here that I think DC fans are going to either love or be kind of creeped out by. It's one of those things that even I'm kind of in the gray area about, just because it does feel a mixture of weird and cool. You'll understand once you see the film exactly what I'm referring to. Kind of same more or less goes for how I feel about Zod as the villain in this. I do think he is pretty cool, but more or less it just feels like exactly the same as Man of Steel. I think however you feel about Zod from Man of Steel, I think that's going to project on how you feel about his return in this with the multiverse aspect. I love Michael Shannon returning to the character, but I never was a huge fan of Zod. Because I know a lot of people are going to be discussing it, let's talk about Ezra Miller just a teeny bit. I don't agree with a lot of the things that they did in the past. I do think it is kind of wild that they didn't really face too many consequences for their actions, and they did do a phenomenal job in this role, but I would be perfectly okay if Ezra Miller, this is his final appearance as the Flash, and we move on with a new rebooted character going forward. And I totally understand if you're someone that's choosing to boycott the film because of Ezra Miller. It's a sticky situation whether you're on one side or the other, but yeah, personally, I think I would be okay if this is the last time he plays the role, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, overall, I did have a very good time with The Flash as a superhero film. It is one of the more fun ones. I don't know if I would make it my favorite superhero film of all time. It lives up to that kind of crazy praise, but when it comes to the DCU films, it is one of the best DCEU films in a very long time, and it will be intriguing on where we go with the future of the DC brand after a film like this. But now you've heard my thoughts on The Flash. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What did you think of the film once you get a chance to check it out? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Are you excited about the future of the DC brand after this? Either way, share your thoughts down below in the comment section, because part of the fun is having the conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys, as always, for the reviews. I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, see you guys later.